In this module, I want to talk to you about how to fast track your way into a multifamily deal. You see, I get the opportunity to speak with a lot of people who are new to multifamily or people who've been in the space for a while, but just haven't been able to get into a deal. Or if they have been able to get into a deal, maybe they've only been able to get into one deal and they're struggling to get into more deals. One of the most common questions I get is, what's the fastest way for me to get into a multifamily deal? So today I want to help break that down for you and give you the clarity you need to fast track your way either into your first deal or help you get into more details. So right now, the way we're looking at it is you are over here on the left-hand side. This is your current state. You know where you want to go. You know how you want things to be, but you've got some questions about how to get there. So let me go through some of those things. When people are first getting started or they're stuck, the questions I get is, can I do this by myself? What are the roles needed to get into a deal? How do I know what value I can bring? And how do I know what partners I need? So by the end of this training, my goal is to help give you that information so that you understand the value of a team, that you know the roles in every multifamily deal, you know the value you can bring to a deal, and you know what partners you need. So real quick, if this is your first time hearing from me, hi, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas, and I'm super excited to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to join my community and watch this video. So a little bit about me. I'm a multifamily investor. I'm a business coach. I'm an entrepreneur and a webcast host. But I've had my fair share of setbacks too. I've been fired from a job. I felt like I waited way too long to get started. I've had investments that didn't go so great. And I can tell you, I'm even dealing with the current real estate conditions right now with the variable interest rates, which for some people are very challenging in the apartment industry. But I've also had my successes because I've learned that with my setbacks, I have learned how to get back up. So I've invested in over 1,800 apartment units. I'm an owner in over $25 million worth of real estate. I'm a business owner and an employer. And after doing this for almost 10 years, I've been able to build a personal brand, start and grow a business, create a process to scale my business, form partnerships, and really focus on my mindset. And I've learned how to be an entrepreneur. And I've learned that all of these things can be very hard, and I've learned these things the hard way, and I always think about that. And if I can help you get there faster than it took me, then I'm absolutely willing to do that for you. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to fast track your way into a multifamily deal. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with the end in mind, and I'm going to just jump straight into it. In every deal, there is what we call the acquisition pillars. And I say the 6 acquisition pillars plus 1 is because you need 6 team members or roles to acquire a deal. And then after you get a deal, there's an additional role. So let me go through these really quick. And then I'm going to go through these in a lot more detail. And I'm going to help you assess where you're at. So the first role we have here is the deal hunter. This is the person that is actually out actively looking for deals. You need someone who can help raise capital. You're looking at very large deals. You either need to bring a lot of capital yourself or you need to be able to raise capital. You need someone who can underwrite the deals. You need someone who's got the experience. You need someone who can share their resume. They need to be able to have experience when working with a lender. And if you don't have experience, you need someone experienced on your team to help guide you and give you the right direction. You need someone with a high net worth or liquidity. This is more of a lending requirement. You need someone who can have the risk. And the risk is really putting the money down on these large deals. And that could be several $100,000 of hard money down on deals. And these are the 6 for the acquisition. And once you close a deal, you need someone on your team who is also really good at asset management. So what I want you to take away from this is what we're going to do is we're going to identify each of these roles. I'm going to help you assess where you're at. And what you need to realize is you can be one or all of these And the more of these you can be, the more valuable you become in any deal. So even if you find something that you're not good at, or you don't have the requirements to fill that role, but you want to do it, that gives you clear direction of the role that you want to be filling. So the first deal, or the first pillar that we're going to talk about here, the acquisition pillar, this is the deal hunter. So what is needed if you're the deal hunter? The way I'm going to break this down for each of these, we're going to look at the geographic location. We're going to look at your skill sets that are required for each of these, the amount of time that you have commit to this, capital, if that's a requirement, and your personal interest and growth. Maybe it's an area that you want to grow into or help others learn. So let's go through this. The first role here is the deal hunter. Now, geographically speaking, you need to either be living in the market where you're going to be finding deals, or be able to travel there on a consistent basis. And by travel there, you need to either be within a 2-hour drive or maybe a 2-hour flight. The reason why this is important if you're looking for these deals is as you're hunting deals, at some point you're going to need to go on property tours. You're going to need to be able to meet with brokers. And I'll be honest, I've been doing this for a while. I don't live where I invest because the market I live in is not the greatest market to be investing in, at least not now. So for me, the markets that I invest in are more than 2 hours away. That means if I have to on a flight. So that means if I have to get there on a flight, I might be taking 2 flights to get there. I've got a day there and a day back. It's not an easy thing. I got a family. I'm probably not, just by looking at this, I'm probably not the best person at deal hunting when it comes to being a boots on the ground person. Now I can go through deals and I can sift through them and help with underwriting, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So geographically, are you in a hot market? Hot market is going to be, is it business friendly? Is it landlord friendly? Is there high population growth, and is the median household income high enough to support rapid rent growth? So those are going to be the things you look for in a prime market. The next thing you're looking for with a deal hunter is, what are your skill sets? And your skill set here is you need the ability to communicate and articulate and build relationships with brokers. Your deal flow is going to come from brokers. The other thing you need to do is you need to have the ability to understand what the value add opportunities are through touring the deal. Remember, I mentioned geographically speaking, you need to be able to get there to tour a deal. And you need to look at the comps and understand the submarket. You need to have familiarity with the market, and you've got to be able to go and meet with these brokers, build a relationship with these brokers, and get deal flow coming to you. The next thing you need to have available to you is time. So you need to have time to travel and visit these properties and go look at the comps and the submarket. So brokers are typically going to work during the week and during normal business hours. So you need to be able to, during the middle of your day, have the time and go and meet with these individuals. If you have a W-2 and you can't meet during the middle of the day, once again, this might not be something good for you. If you have that flexibility, it might be a great option for you. As far as needing capital, you really don't need capital for this particular role. And so, you don't have to have that criteria. And personal interest and growth, if you enjoy getting out to tour deals, comps, and checking out the markets while you're building the relationships with these brokers and maintaining those relationships, then this is going to be a good spot for you. I should add real quick, there is a downloadable worksheet for this whole module that goes along with this. And so I would highly recommend you either have that out now, or when the recording's over, go and download that. And that's going to help you really target in what your strengths are. And also, when you go through this exercise at the end of it, you'll know where your gaps are, and those are the very specific partners that you need to get so that you can get into your first deal. So that is the deal hunter. They need to be close to the prime market. You want to look for those great markets. You got to have the ability to communicate and meet with brokers and build those relationships. You've got to have the time. You've got to have the time to get out to these deals, see them during the week. You do not have a capital requirement for this. And you need to be interested in getting out to tour these deals. You need to be a people person. You need to be out and seeing things. The next role that we want to talk about is the capital raiser. So capital raising is a fantastic area if you want to accelerate your growth in multifamily. It's also one of the most challenging areas when it comes to defining your role on a multifamily team. But let's go through these details here really quick. Geographically, you can live anywhere in the world if you can raise capital. So for example, I live on the West Coast in California. I invest in Dallas, and part of what I do is raise capital, because if I can raise capital, I've got people who pick up the phone and call me and invite me into deals. And that's a great way to fast track your way into a deal. So your skill set, you have to have the ability to communicate and build relationships with people. You have to get over any fear you have of asking people for money. I know a lot of people don't like to sound salesy, but if you do it the right way, you actually don't sound salesy and you're presenting someone with a fantastic opportunity. From a time constraint, you do have to have the time. You do have to put in the time to build these relationships with investors. This is something new that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. And so you're educating them along the way. If you think of it in terms of a customer journey, you are taking maybe somebody who knows nothing about passive investing in apartments at all, and you're educating them along the way to get them comfortable enough to invest with you. And that takes time to do that. You're going to build processes around raising capital. That's good. If you're going to raise capital, it's something that you should always be doing. From a capital perspective, the more capital that you can personally invest, or the more value or the more money you can bring from a capital raise perspective, the more value you can bring to the table. Once again, it's a fantastic way to fast track yourself into a multifamily deal. And then from a personal interest and growth perspective, if you enjoy getting together with passive investors or family offices, talking about your new investment opportunities, building relationships, where people will learn to know, like, and trust you, then this might be a really good fit for you. You've got to be a people person. And I'll go back to, if you've got a little bit of that fear of you don't want to come across as salesy, you can learn how to get around that. But if you're a people person, this might be a really good fit for you. And I just really want to put a lot of emphasis here. Having the ability to either bring capital or raise capital is one area where you can really bring massive value. So a lot of people that get into this space, they want to get into a deal quickly. And I can tell you, for me personally, I did not look at raising capital as something early on, but looking back, if there's one thing I wish I would have done when I started, it was, I wish I would have learned the process to raise capital from day one, because it would have changed my trajectory. And now it's something that I have built into my processes, and I'm helping other people learn along the way. So this is a key area. If you really, really, really want to fast track your way into a deal, you might want to consider raising capital, even if you've got some other areas you want to focus on. Remember, you can have multiple roles that you can fill. The more roles you can fill, the more value that you can bring to a deal. I highly recommend that everybody, regardless of your role, can raise some capital. Okay, the next role that you want to evaluate, this is the person that underwrites. This is the person that looks at the deals. This is the person that's good with the numbers. So geographically, once again, you can live anywhere in the world as long as you have access to your email and the internet. You can pick up the phone, you can call people, you're going to be talking to brokers, you're going to be talking to vendors, you're going to be talking to property management companies, you're going to be doing market surveys. But geographically, you can do this one from anywhere. Skill sets. You have to be data centric. You have to be able to get into the offering memorandum, property financials like the profit and loss statement, rent roll, balance sheets, all of those little numbers. You're going to need to be able to be good with numbers, or have a very strong desire to learn how to do that. From a time perspective, this is something, it could take a short amount of time, and there's other strategies I'll share with you in the 4 phases of underwriting, where you can speed up your underwriting process instead of taking every deal all the way through to the end. But most deals you can get through in a short amount of time once you understand it. Once you get further into the deal and you start touring a property, and getting some feedback, and you're sharpening your pencil and you're getting more details about that deal, you will end up spending quite a bit of time underwriting a deal. You will have 5, 10, 15 versions of a deal that you've been underwriting as you get information. So up front, you can take a little bit of time as you learn the processes to make it more efficient. But if a deal works and it makes sense, you will spend more time underwriting a deal. From a capital perspective, if you're just going to be underwriting, you actually don't need capital unless you're planning on investing in the deal you're part of. Some deals, it's a requirement that you invest some money. Some deals, you don't have to invest your own money into the deal. It just kind of depends on what your partners are like. But technically, you don't need capital to be underwriting a lot of deals. Now, from a personal interest and growth perspective, if you prefer working behind the computer at home, you don't want to get out a lot, you're not really a big social person, you're more on the numbers side of things, then this might be a really good opportunity for you as well. And you will be working closely with some other people on your team, but you're more than likely you're going to be a person that hangs out with the numbers a lot. You will talk to some of the vendors to get some of those details, but you do not have to be out and about building a lot of relationships. So if the capital raising gives you too much anxiety, then maybe underwriting is going to be a better fit for you. Okay, the next role, this is the experience role. And geographically speaking, anywhere in the world, since the experience and the resume is what's valuable here. And what you're looking for is when you start making offers on deals, you need experience for two reasons. One is when you submit the offer, the brokers are going to be looking at your background, how many multifamily deals have you been in, how many have you gone full cycle on. They want to know your ability to close this deal, raise capital for this deal, that you're not going to back out, that if you move forward with this deal, you're going to actually close on it. And the other part of it where the experience is needed is the lenders actually like to see that you've got some experience. They're much more likely to give you better terms if you've got the experience in a specific market. So once you've built up your resume, this is a good opportunity for you. If you're brand new, you obviously can't bring this to the table. You might have other skill sets that could be valuable, but when I mean experience, I mean specifically being a multifamily property owner. That's what I'm looking for here. Skill sets. From an experience perspective, ideally, you also have the ability to lead and guide your team. And this is all the way from contract to close, and even after closing, to ensure that successful investment. The time is not necessarily going to take a lot of time, but the more time you want to put into it to help lead other people who maybe don't have that experience and help other general partners. You're going to be joining the property calls. You're going to be having consulting calls with other team members. You're really just going to be helping out. That your time is going to be how much you're helping out. Capital, definitely not needed for this role, once again, unless you're interested in investing in the deal. And actually, sometimes what happens is if you have enough experience, you're brought in as a mentor, like a senior partner, and you don't have to invest money into the deal, and you get a decent share. So this is probably something that you would target in the future. But if you're brand new, you're probably not going to be able to go after this one. And then your personal interest and growth is really, this is where if you enjoy mentoring and coaching other people, and you don't mind lending your resume while having the opportunity to pursue other interests, this would be a good role for you to pursue. If you're new, then you know that you will need to find someone who has the experience who will lend their resume to you. Next, we're going to talk about the net worth and liquidity. So here, the reason why this is important is when it comes to getting a loan, the lenders are looking for you or maybe a key principal to have net worth and liquidity, basically to back up the loan is what they're looking for. They want to make sure that if there's any issues with the deal, that the partners will be able to put in additional cash to keep the deal alive, or maybe a key principal is able to put in some additional cash to keep the deal alive as well. So you can live anywhere geographically, you can live anywhere in the world, because really all you're doing is you're providing your personal financial statement and your schedule of real estate owned. That's your PFS and your SREO. From a skill set perspective, being able to properly put together your personal financial statement and SREO, which is not a crazy difficult thing. You just have to have some experience with it. Time, this is probably the least time involved role there is. Really, you're just offering your personal financial statement, scheduled real estate owned. It's a very important role, but you very, very, very little involvement. You basically just you are sharing your bank statements and experience with the deal. Capital, once again, not needed for this role unless you're personally investing in the deal. And from a personal interest and growth, if you want to be part of multifamily investing in a bigger way than passive investing, but you don't have the time to be involved in day to day, this might be a good role for you. You could be a KP. You could be part of multifamily investing, not technically be passive because you'd be a general partner, but you don't have time to do the day-to-day stuff. So if you're a high net worth individual and you have liquidity, this would be a really good role for you. And if you're not, then this is a role that you need to find. Okay, of the 6 pillars, this is the last of the 6 pillars, and this is risk. What do I mean by risk? When you put an offer in on a deal, there's typically multiple other offers on a deal. If your offer is accepted, the broker is going to want you to put hard money down, or I should say money down into the deal. Sometimes it's hard money, sometimes it's not. It depends on the market cycle. But it's just like if you buy a house, you have to put a certain percentage down to say, yep, I'm interested. You have to be able to put hard money down into a deal. Now, you could be any of these other roles and put money down into a deal, or you have a person who just has liquidity and puts money down into a deal. So what is needed? Once again, geographically, you can be anywhere in the world as long as you're able to wire these funds. Skills, really none. You just got to be able to wire money. Time, all you got to do is wire funds for this. There's very little involvement. Capital, just really for the hard money and earnest money. That's depending on the size of the deal. You should probably plan on a couple $100,000, maybe a little bit more, and some fees that go along the way, attorney fees. But a lot of that's captured when you close the deal. Personal interest and growth, there really is no involvement here. There's not a whole lot of opportunity to teach or mentor anybody. All you're doing is you're just wiring funds, but it is a very important part of the deal because if you don't have this money to put into a deal, you will not be able to secure the deal. Okay, so those are your 6 acquisition pillars. You need to have gone through the worksheet or go through the worksheet, and you're going to be honest with yourself. How well can I fill that role? And if you can't, that's fine, but what can you do? And then the next piece of it here, this is when you close the deal, and this is asset management. And if you're brand new, then you're not gonna be able to fill this role. After you've got into a couple deals and you've got a couple years in, this might be a really good role for you to add additional value. I will tell you that there's a lot of time involved in asset management. Geographically, you can live anywhere in the world as long as you have a team member who is boots on the ground and can visit the property regularly. I can tell you personally, I have seen the importance of having someone boots on the ground be able to show up to the property. It makes a difference when someone from the ownership group can regularly visit the property for 2 reasons. One is it shows the people at the property that you are genuinely invested, or I should say vested in that deal, especially if you can go by and you're always showing praise and helping them and dropping off gifts and helping them with things along the way. They will appreciate that. And number 2 is the property management company, the property management staff, the reality of it is they are salaried employees. So they do not have all the money on the line. They have not got investors to the deal. They do not make additional money the better the property performs. At the end of the day, they are punching in on a time clock and they are punching out on a time clock. So while most people want to show up and do a good job, there's definitely a difference in alignment of how they're getting paid and how you're getting paid. So the ability to show up and actually make sure your business plan is being implemented the way you want it to be, the way it's supposed to be, is also very, very, very important. So you really, I cannot emphasize this enough, somebody on your team needs to be able to go by and visit those properties regularly. Skill sets. You need the ability to lead and influence other people. You need to be able to lead meetings and basically be a project manager. That is what happens here. There's a lot of pieces to it. Yes, there's the property management company and they do a lot of this, but you're really overseeing all of that and making sure they're implementing the business plan. From a time commitment, there's a lot of time that goes into this. This is once you close the deal, but there is a lot of time that goes into this. When times are tough, you'll spend more time. When times are good, you'll spend less time. But at a minimum, you need to be available for weekly calls, team calls. We might meet on a deal once with the property management company, once as a general partnership group on a weekly basis. So you have, multiple hours that you'll be spending on asset management every week for every deal that you're involved in, generally more time up front. And once things are settled, less time, but that is not always the case. If things are rocky for a while, asset manager needs to be able to be involved and available for a while. Capital, the beauty of this is you don't have to have any capital available to put into the deal up front. I think everybody should have some money available to put into a deal up front, but you don't have to have capital available. Personal interest and growth. If you prefer to lead groups of people and projects you like to see and move projects along from start to close, and you enjoy communicating, inspiring others, then this could be a good role for you. If it's not a good role for you, then you need to find somebody, once again, to fill that role for you. Okay, before we go on to the next steps, this is part of your next steps, by the way, is make sure you've got this downloaded and you go through and you fill it out. This is the fast track worksheet. Once again, the goal here is a lot of times what happens is people don't know what all the roles are. The better you know the roles from a multifamily investing perspective, you have your clarity. You know exactly the value you can bring to a deal. You just be laser focused on that. Just be laser focused on that. That's how you're going to get into a deal faster. Because if you show up and you're like, oh, I'll do anything, people are going to be like, well, can you raise capital? Can you find a deal? Yeah, I can do all of that. They want confidence. And so you're going to have to tell them exactly what you can do. So go through this worksheet. And the idea is that you're going to go through each of these and you're going to say, honestly, I can do this or I can't do this. It's a good fit for me or it's not a good fit for me. And you're going to go through each of these roles. And once you've gone through each of these roles, then there's some additional exercises you're going to go through. And you're going to do a self-assessment. So you're going to start saying, okay, if I'm not good at this, but I am good at this, this is my strengths, these are my weaknesses, because the idea is you know where you're at. And then what I want you to do is I want you to be able to build that team. So you're going to focus on what you're good at, and then you're going to focus on who your partners are. Like what roles do I need to build out my team, or what team can I join to make them whole or add value? So you're going to go through this assessment, and the very last exercise, what you do is you go through and you say, okay, this is something I can do, and this is something that I need to find a partner for. And the next thing you want to do is, if you know what you can bring to the table, what value you can bring to the table, you need to go very specifically find partners for each of these other roles. You now have something specific you can be doing when you're networking. You clearly know your roles, and go find those other roles. And there's a real good chance if you find people that can do all of these other roles, when you build that team, somebody in there is going to be finding deals. And if you know your role and you're building those relationships, you're going to get into a deal much faster. People are not going to just pick up the phone and call you randomly and say, hey, I think you're a really nice person. They want to know what value you can bring to the team. And the more value you can bring to a team, the more likely you are to get into a deal. So with that, your next steps here are going to be download this multifamily fast track worksheet and go through that and find exactly what your strengths are and who you need to build on your team. Rank yourself in each of those pillars. Do the self-assessment exercises. Complete the partnership criteria exercises. And if you need some help, schedule a call. I'm here to help. Schedule a call. I've got a program. I can help you fast track your way into a multifamily deal. I've got a link there to schedule a call. And that is how you're going to fast track your way into a deal. So I'll see you in the next video.